Valac versus Lipstick Face Demon. Valac, the terrifying nun demon from The Conjuring, thrives on fear and possession, often popping up anywhere. She bends reality, claws you, and infiltrates the physical world. That means walking out of the mirror, or a freaking painting. No, really, why does she keep doing that? Anyways, on the other side, the simple red-faced demon from Insidious stalks his victims through their souls instead of a peephole. His power lies in manipulating the Further, a ghostly dimension, where he can twist perceptions and trap people in endless nightmares. He enjoys the most unnecessary peekaboo with his prey. So, in a face-off, Valac will most obviously try to possess the red-faced demon first, while he's busy blasting Tiptoe Through the Tulips. I know for a fact we all hated this song. Valac might initially have the upper hand, slipping into his body unnoticed. However, the red-faced demon can disrupt spiritual energy, or can just drag both into the Further to gain the home ground advantage. But if the red-faced demon goes for his usual astral intimidation, Valak's shadow control could let her manifest physically, blocking him from phasing out or wrapping him up like paranormal duct tape. Her grounded power keeps him from simply fleeing to his haunted Batcave. In pure fear tactics, Valak's possession is deadly, but the demon's astral tricks give him the edge there. It all depends on the battlefield. In the physical world, Valac corners him. In the Further, he's the boss, leaving Valac lost and crying for Google Maps. So, who wins? It's a stalemate depending on the battlefield, but either way, anyone caught between these two is definitely not getting a good night's sleep. Ferryman versus Keyface. The Ferryman isn't someone you'd want to run into. He's tall, bony, and wrapped in shadows. The creepy part is the coins. He's always tied to those coins people have on their eyes when they die. You usually hear the clinking before you see him, which is already unsettling. And then he's got this line, if you don't pay his toll, he'll take your soul. Which honestly, sounds less like a demon and more like a bus driver who's really strict about exact change. Keyface is a whole different problem. He comes from Insidious, the last key. He lives in the Further, feeds on people's fear and trauma, and his face looks like cracked porcelain. But the worst part? His hands. Every finger is a rusty key. And he doesn't just wave them around, he stabs with them, silences people, and literally locks their souls away. Like, imagine calling a locksmith, and instead of fixing your door, he just locks you inside it. Now, if the Ferryman tries to creep up on Keyface, you'd hear those coins rattling, and he'd probably whisper that line about tolls and souls. But Keyface doesn't even let him finish. He just shoves a key finger into his throat and shuts him right up. The toll booth closed instantly. After that, the Ferryman doesn't stand a chance. He fades in and out of the dark, rattling coins, trying to scare him. But Keyface is quicker and doesn't scare easily. He closes in, stabs with those keys, and locks the Ferryman down for good. So it's all clear. The Ferryman can spook you, but Keyface takes full control. And once he's locked you up, there's definitely no way out. Malthus versus the Bride in Black. Malthus and the Bride in Black are two totally different nightmares, but if they ever ran into each other, nobody's sleeping that night. Malthus is the demon tied to the Annabelle doll. He never stomps in right away. He plays long games. He will make the doll move from one chair to another, write you "miss me," notes like a creepy ex, and might also show up in the form of your dead daughter. It's all bait. He builds fear step by step, and once you're terrified enough, that's when he takes what he wants, your soul. On the other side, we have the Bride in Black, who works a little differently. He used to be Parker Crane, but now he's a ghost in a black gown, veil over his face, candle in his hand. He stalks people through the Further, whispers in the dark, and his big move is trying to possess you. Now, if these two met in a duel, the Bride in Black would probably make the first move. He comes with his candle glowing, veil dragging, ready to steal a body. But instead of a victim, Annabelle's doll is sitting there staring at him. Then it's on the chair. Then, suddenly, in the hallway. Then a note drops at his feet. "Miss me?" The bride came to scare, but suddenly, he's the one being haunted. He phases into the further to get the jump, but Malthus doesn't care. He slams doors, blows out the candle, and tightens the shadows until the bride is trapped. The bride tries possession, but seriously, you can't really possess a pure demon, right? So, in the end, the bride gets dragged down, veil and candle gone, while Malthus keeps playing his games. The bride is scary, but Malthus is just meaner, and mean wins. The Axeman versus long-haired fiend. This creepy Axeman shows up in The Conjuring. Last rites. Back when he was alive, he murdered his wife and mother-in-law with an axe. Brutal then, brutal now. And honestly, he hasn't changed a bit. As a ghost, he's still swinging that axe around like he's chopping wood for winter. Except instead of firewood, it's anyone unlucky enough to step into his house. Think of him as the worst landlord ever, where your rent is your life. His rival here is the long-haired fiend from Insidious, who is a different flavor of nightmare. He's got a pale, gaunt face, skin that looks half-rotted, greasy hair that could use 10 bottles of shampoo, and a trench coat that hasn't seen a washing machine in decades. He hangs out in the further, pacing behind curtains, hiding in corners, and getting way too close for comfort. He doesn't even need a weapon. His whole vibe just screams, "I'm here to ruin your night." So if these two clashed, the Axeman would be first to attack. No surprise there. He'd storm in swinging that axe, laughing in the most uncomfortable way possible, chopping through walls, chairs, whatever's in his way. But the fiend doesn't fight head-on. He slips into the further, making every chop miss, then reappears behind him, whispering and pacing like a creepy stalker. The Axeman gets more desperate, slashing at shadows, but you can't cut what isn't really there. The fiend closes in and tries to possess him. The Axeman struggles, swinging wildly, but he's chained to his house. He doesn't have the reach to keep up. The axe drops, his laugh dies, and the fiend takes control. Game over! The Axeman's scary, yeah, but the fiend isn't stuck in one house with one trick. He can follow you, creep on you, and take over. And once he takes the axe away, the Axeman's finished. The bride versus the doll girl. The bride and the doll girl don't sound that scary at first. One's got a wedding dress, the other looks like a teenager. But trust me, this is the worst girls' night out you could imagine. The bride is basically a cursed fashion statement. The dress looks gorgeous, but once you put it on, she hijacks your body and forces you to stab your groom. And the funniest, and by funniest, I mean worst part, the dress cleans itself after every killing. Honestly. Forget Tide Pods. Where do I place my Amazon order? Just give me the no groom stabbing version. The doll girl is even sneakier. She looks like the quiet kid at dinner, the one you'd think is shy. But nope. Out of nowhere, she pulls out a gun, wipes out her whole family, and then smiles like she just won a prize. It's less family dinner and more family don't ever invite her again. So what happens if they fight? The bride is slow but patient. She'd slip that wedding dress on the doll girl, and suddenly she's in full killer bride mode. But doll girl isn't going down easy. She'd still smile, pull out the gun, and start firing like it's open mic night at a shooting range. The difference? Quite simple. Bullets eventually run out, but the dress doesn't. Once it's cursed on you, it resets and waits for the next round. The doll girl can shoot, but the bride can play forever. Isla Castner versus Michelle Crane. Isla Castner and Michelle Crane are two horror moms you really don't want on your family tree. Forget awkward Thanksgiving dinners, these two would just turn it into a seance. Isla, aka the occultist from The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, grew up with a priest for a dad, but decided Sunday service wasn't her thing. Instead, she built creepy altars, carved totems, and summoned demons like it was a side hustle. Her style? Lay down a curse, sit back, and let the demon handle the mess. Basically, she's the world's worst party planner, except her events end with body counts. Michelle Crane from Insidious. Chapter 2 takes Bad Mom to Olympic levels. In life, she forced her son Parker to live as a girl, messing him up so badly that he became the bride in black. In death, she's even worse, floating around in a white gown. pale face glaring at you like she's about to scold you and kill you at the same time. She's all about illusions, chandeliers dropping, and manipulation. If they faced off, Isla would definitely start. She's down on the floor, setting up her altar, candles lit, whispering curses in Latin like it's her own demon TED Talk. Shadows start crawling. The room feels heavy. She's getting ready to bring the heat. But Michelle? She doesn't wait around. She drops a chandelier straight onto the altar before the first curse can land. But Isla, the malnourished lady, doesn't move an inch. She scrambles for another totem, chanting faster like she's trying to speedrun a spell. Michelle just floats in closer, whispering Parker's trauma in her ear like it's the latest neighborhood gossip. The shadows sputter out, the totem snaps in half, and Isla's curses die mid-sentence. She still makes one last effort, slamming doors and shaking walls, but Michelle floods the place with illusions until Isla can't tell what's real anymore. By the end, Isla's standing in a mess of broken candles and cracked totems, while Michelle floats above her like, "I'm the owner of this house." Bathsheba Sherman versus Wheezing Demon. Bathsheba Sherman and the Wheezing Demon prove one thing. Nowhere is safe. Think a farmhouse is cozy? Bathsheba's waiting. Think a hospital will protect you? That's Wheezy's playground. Good luck. Bathsheba, first seen in The Conjuring, was accused of witchcraft, baby sacrifices, and making deals with the devil. When she died, she didn't leave. She made the Perron farmhouse her permanent address. With her rotting face, curses whispered in the dark, and a habit of possessing moms, she wrecks your family. While the Wheezing Demon, aka the man who can't breathe, is a whole other nightmare. Corpse-like, in a hospital gown, mask strapped on, wheezing like every breath is his last. But instead of dying, he uses that sound to get inside your head. He convinces you you're worthless, copies the voices of people you love, and makes you give up before he even lays a finger on you. If they fought, Bathsheba would go big right away. Crosses flip, furniture crashes into the walls, and she tries to force possession. Wheezy doesn't flinch. He turns the whole farmhouse into a hospital ward where his heavy wheeze sound fills every corner until it feels like she's suffocating. Bathsheba scrambles up the ceiling, shrieking, hurling curses. Wheezy fires back with the voices of her victims, whispering her name over and over to crack her. For a moment, it's neck and neck, her possession against his despair. Then Bathsheba pulls her ace card, the curse. She rips apart the hospital illusion, tangles his oxygen masks like ropes, and drags him down, kicking and wheezing. His breath stutters, then stops for good. The Crooked Man versus the Dancing Boy. The Crooked Man and the Dancing Boy sound less like demons and more like finalists on some cursed talent show. But trust me, this show's not ending with applause. The Crooked Man, from The Conjuring 2, is tall, bent, and twisted like someone tried to fold him into a suitcase and failed. He doesn't walk, he jerks and snaps around like a broken marionette, all while chanting creepy nursery rhymes. And because he's tied to Valac, he's not just scary, he's got real demonic muscle behind him. The Dancing Boy from Insidious is, well, weird. He looks like a little kid in suspenders, but he's actually a grown man pretending to be one. His big moves, spinning by record players, flashing that unsettling grin, and then vanishing like he's late for bedtime. Honestly, he feels less like a threat, and more like a background actor in a creepy music video. So, what happens if they face off? The Crooked Man doesn't just walk in, he pulls his classic trick and warps out of a dog first, snapping into that tall, twisted shape. Then he cracks his limbs into place and stomps forward, all crooked angles and creepy vibes. The Dancing Boy tries to hit him with the old spin and smile routine, but it's like bringing jazz hands to a fist fight. Before he can even finish a twirl, the Crooked Man stretches forward, bending in ways nobody should, and looms over him in the most terrifying way possible. One eerie rhyme later, the record scratches to silence, and the stage is all his. Quick shout out before we keep going. Huge thanks to Yellow King 2099, a viewer who inspired this video with their comment on one of our past uploads. Got an idea you want to see come to life? Drop it below in the comments. We're always watching, in a non-creepy way. Let's keep going. The Dancing Boy is creepy, sure, but at best, he's a jump scare in suspenders. The Crooked Man? He's the deluxe scare set, comes with free rhymes and a side of trauma. But that's just one half of the nightmare. If you want to see what really keeps people up at night, check out every demon in the Insidious Universe. Explained in just 10 minutes. It's packed, it's intense, and yeah, it might just make you sleep with the lights on. I'll see you there.